think one of them, quite frankly, is on the executive order side. I don't think they kind of realized how much they could do with executive orders. And this time around, there's going to be a lot more of that. Obviously, it's all constitutional. But I think that's a big factor. It's going to be a big difference this time around, and moving very fast because they understand that the time is going by. It's going to go by quickly. You've got to get things through Congress, and your first kind of 3 months in are very critical. And so they want to get people confirmed. They're already obviously doing that. There's going to be people going into appointed in that are confirmed literally within the first week of Trump going in as well. They've been doing the Senate hearings all this week. So they're gonna be going a lot faster than they were in 2017.
Now, let's talk about Donald Trump 2.0. All eyes will be on America on Monday. It is an extraordinary moment. President Trump, for the second time, really taking the reins of power, not just for America, but he is the most powerful man on the planet now. It's set to be very cold. Let's hope he doesn't get frostbite. It looks like the proceedings are going to be moved indoors. And look, there'll be lots of excitement about the ceremony and who performs. But he is expected to hit the ground running. We were speaking with an advisor earlier, and he confirmed that he thinks his team says he's ready to go. He'll hit the ground running. He has prepared more than 100 executive orders to sign off on day one. Now, it is going to be cold. As I've just said, I think the temperatures are predicted to hit minus 11 degrees on Monday in Washington. That's extraordinary cold. And it's a wise move because back in 1841, President William Henry Harrison gave the longest inauguration speech in US history in cold, wet conditions. He then caught pneumonia and died exactly 1 month later, making his presidency the shortest in US history. So, assuming that President Trump survives, and I hope they very sensibly move it all inside, what will his second stint in the White House look like? What will he do in his first 100 days? That's an important yardstick. That's actually quite an American tradition, that first 100 days. And how are the Democrats going to navigate Donald Trump the second time round? Well, I've got a really brilliant panel to discuss this. Hal Lambert, who's a Republican. He's also somebody who's donated a decent amount of money to the Republican Party. He also served on Donald Trump's inauguration committee in 2016. Hal, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
And welcome to the show, Jim Kennedy. Jim worked in the White House as a deputy assistant to President Bill Clinton and also for Hillary Clinton in the Senate, so certainly knows his way around the Democrats. Jim, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Hal, let's start with you. What do you think we can expect from Donald Trump the second time round? How's he going to hit the ground running?
Well, executive orders immediately. I've heard there's maybe over 100 executive orders. It's going to be interesting because this time around, I mean, he's obviously knows the presidency, was there before. There's a lot more preparedness going in. He's got a good team around him, and they're going to hit the ground running. It'll be actually a lot faster than they did in 2017 when he went in. And I'm in D.C. now. I was with a number of the people last night, and it's everybody's excited, everybody's ready to go, and everybody's very prepared this time around.
And Hal, is the atmosphere with the Trump camp, is it sort of jubilant and celebratory, or is it quite kind of serious and we're going to crack on and get on with the work straight away? Are they going to party or are they going to get down to work?
It's actually both. People are very happy. They're they're actually celebrating also, but they're very serious as well. So it's actually a combination of those two. But I mean, I was with people that were working late yesterday, working last night. They came to an event and they were going back to work. And people are working all day today, all day tomorrow. Like everybody's buttoned up to get this done, and it will hit the ground running very fast.
And you're very close to the team. What do you think when they look back on when they first came in 2016 for the first time? What do you think the lessons that they'll learn from that period that they want to sort of do differently?
Well, I think one of them, quite frankly, is on the executive order side. I don't think they kind of realized how much they could do with executive orders. And this time around, there's going to be a lot more of that. Obviously, it's all constitutional, but I think that's a big factor. It's going to be a big difference this time around, and moving very fast because they understand that the time is going by. It's going to go by quickly. You've got to get through things through Congress. And your first kind of 3 months in are very critical. And so they want to get people confirmed. They're already obviously doing that. There's going to be people going into, appointed in that are confirmed literally within the first week of Trump going in as well. They've been doing the Senate hearings all this week. So they're gonna be going a lot faster than they were in 2017.
And just tell us a little bit about the sort of team around Trump. Do you think he's got a better set of people this time round?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, he's had a lot of time to think about it, a lot of time to prepare, and the people around him I'm very impressed with. They're doing, again, they're working very hard already. The team, in 2017, it was, there wasn't as much preparedness going in to that administration as there is this one. And so I think you're going to see a really fast start and a really, good team going in. And
just before I bring in Jim, tell us about his chief of staff, because she seems like a really interesting woman.
Yeah, no, she's no nonsense. And she's obviously in the room at all times with decision making, and has done a great job and put together, been part of the team, putting everybody together as far as this administration. So she's obviously a very serious person, and people respect her a lot.
Yeah, and that's
Susie Wiles.
Susie Wiles. Yeah, Susie Wiles, and one of our listeners mentioned her earlier. Well, Cal, thanks for that. Stay on the line in case we need to come back to you. Yeah. Jim Kennedy. Now, you're somebody who knows the Democrats very well. How are the Democrats going to navigate, this new term from Trump? Are they going to do things differently to how they did last time with him?
Well, I think they should. The mood is very different in both parties, frankly, from 8 years ago. 8 years ago, you may recall there was a march of 1 million people around the country the day after the inauguration. That's not happening this time. I think there's actually more disarray in the Democratic Party this time because of the nature of the loss and uncertainty about what to do next. And so there's a bit of regrouping that has to happen. So I think they're going to kind of feel their way through the issues as they arise. And as Hal mentioned, there's going to be a lot happening all at once. So it's going to be a very target-rich environment in terms of what kind of issues you want to talk about.
And, obviously, Joe Biden's sort of standing down. The party suffered this, terrible defeat. Morale is very low in the Democrats. I had a really interesting conversation with a Democrat strategist who was saying, the mood is very low. Who will kind of rally the troops, Jim? And when these executive orders come out, who will sort of give the political direction in terms of how hard to attack, what lines of attack, what kind of, which direction to attack from? Who will sort of do that?
That's a little unclear. The party has no particular leader. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to be initially a leader of that effort. You do have Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, who are spokespeople for the party. The DNC is searching for a new leader. Perhaps that person can become a more vocal representative of the party. But in the meantime, you have people like Senator John Fetterman, who I admire, and I think he's done well in the wake of the election. He's starting to emerge as a leader in part. You also have people like Josh Shapiro, who could become emblematic of what the future holds for the party. On the other hand, you also have Gavin Newsom in California, who's undergoing a lot of controversy in the wake of the fires, the tragic fires in California as well. So you have a real kind of division happening in the party and an uncertain outcome.
And look, one of the things that we were discussing early in the show was that Donald Trump's sort of trying to move away from, some of these, I suppose, diversity and acronyms, DEI, LGBTQ+, ESG, these kind of things that were very much, seen as part of that woke sort of agenda that he really attacked heavily. And one of a Democrat strategist I spoke to said that a big moment was when he said, look, the Democrats are they, them, I'm about you. How do you think that the Democrats will react to that? Do you think they'll come out and just really attack him for doing that stuff? Or do you think they will privately concede that maybe they went too far on that agenda and kind of hang back from that agenda? How do you think they'll navigate that sort of woke stuff that will go on?
Yeah, I do think Donald Trump really won on the basis of both an economic issue and on social issues, as you describe. It's a combination of things, and I think his first 100 days will be characterized by action on both fronts if he's smart. Now, the Democrats, I think, we're on the back foot in terms of those social issues. I think people on the left will certainly speak up in opposition to whatever moves he makes, but I think the mainstream of the party would be wise to kind of hold back and recognize that the country has moved on. They perhaps would be better focused on economic issues as opposed to social issues, because I do think that was a significant part of their loss this last November.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think us watching from over here felt that. But in terms of the left right of the party, Jim, how do you think that's going to go forward? Do you think there is going to be a kind of battle between the left, maybe the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, that kind of wing of the party against the more sort of moderates? Do you see a kind of a flashpoint coming where there is a sort of battle for the soul of the Democrat Party?
Yeah, there has to be. And it reminds me of the 1980s when, after significant losses, the Democrats formed the Democratic Leadership Council, which was led by Bill Clinton. And that helped pave the way for him becoming president in 1992, because there was this intra-party fight that was waged between the left and the middle. And I think that needs something like that has to happen again if the Democrats are going to come back. They need to recognize that they have some issues. They're basically have distanced themselves from the mainstream of America. I think they've personally become too secular and not embracing religion and the religious spirit of the American people sufficiently. So I do think there's a battle to be waged and won if the party is going to resurge.
And Hal, just to bring you back in, what advice would you, as a kind of counterintuitive question for you, but what advice would you give to the Democrats right now as they sort of staring down the barrel of Donald Trump's second presidency?
Good points, or he just made some good points. I agree with him on those, and but there's a huge wing of the party that's very left, and they just did a vote this week on immigration. It was a bill to deport illegals that are in the country that commit sex offenses. And you had like 150 Democrats vote against that. And I don't know who they're voting for. I don't know what constituency would not be for deporting illegals that commit sexual attack, crimes like that. It's odd. So they're going to have to get it together, and they do need a leader. I don't know who it is either. It's not going to be Gavin Newsom.
No.
So I don't know, but he's right. There needs to be a voice that comes out of this. And they need to have, real common sense approach to things, like don't vote against that kind of bill. Like, I mean, that's something I would guess 90% of Americans would be for. And yet you have 150 plus Democrats voting against it. So I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably quite. I think a lot of moderate Democrats would agree with you, and obviously my politics here is more on the progressive left as well. But that's a lesson we've had to learn here as well, which is like, at the end of the day, you have to try and be a bit more common sense and not be so wedded to sort of, activists and ideology and things like that. But it's going to be interesting to see the journey that the Republicans go on now into Donald Trump, but also the journey that the Democrats. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. That was a really interesting discussion. My thanks to Hal Lambert and to Jim Kennedy.